Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. So I had a request for a general notary document, so I figured why not? Let's get into it. So today we're going to be discussing a bill of sale. Now this document, once again, you can go on eforms.com to get this document, just in case a person has one and they mess up. So you'll have your spare in your vehicle with you, like I always do. But this can be found on eForms, and I will put that somewhere in the beginning and at the end. So just in case you want to look this up and print it out. And in the description, I'm going to try to put the link there so you can click on it and go straight to the document. So it kind of takes out all the looking. Okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, this document comes into play if a person is about to sell a vehicle and they want to make sure that this another person who's purchasing it puts that vehicle in their name. Because ultimately, if the vehicle is never registered in that other person's name who purchases the vehicle, the owner still is liable for anything that happens with that vehicle. So if they don't put insurance on it, the person that sold it could get their license suspended. A lot of different things. If it gets towed, you have a lien. So it's a lot of different things. So you just want to make sure, like if you sell a vehicle, you complete a bill of sale. And that's normally what this call would be for. Okay? So this would be the normal notarial stuff. It would be the county, the state, the date it's being completed, not another date, the day it's being completed. The person that's going to be purchasing the car, the buyer, name would be printed here and their address would be printed here. The seller name would be printed here and address would be printed there. Now, the only person, so you can look at both of their identifications, correct? So you can go ahead and see just to be sure that the people's name are correct. But the only person who's signing for the actual notarization is the actual seller, because they are providing proof that they're selling this vehicle. Okay? So here, this will be for the actual make and model of the vehicle. This is going to be the description of the vehicle. So the make, the model, the body type. And if you don't know any of this information is going to be on the title and the registration. So if a person is selling a vehicle, they're going to have the title on them because you have to finish filling that out to sell it. So you can actually just kind of look at that to be sure that the information is accurate. And then here, this is the VIN number, which once again will be on the title and the registration. The odometer reading would go here. So if something happens and the person they're selling a car that can't crank up, or they don't have a key, or whatever the situation is, if they cannot turn that car on and you can't physically see the odometer reading, put NA there. So that would be just an NA right there, okay? So you'll come down further, and this is going to be for the actual payment. How is it being purchased? So if it's going to be purchased with cash, they'll check there and they'll put the amount there. Sometimes people trade vehicles. So they might pay a certain amount and trade another vehicle. If that's the case, that box would be selected. If for any reason it's a gift, this box would be selected. So if a mom or dad or whoever it is giving a car to someone else, or maybe they're saying it's $5 or what, that's a gift. So ultimately you would check there and put the amount there that the value of the vehicle is. So if it's a gift, but the value is $500, you would just put $500. Or if there's another unique situation, check there, and they can just pretty much handwrite whatever they have going on right there, okay? This is going to be for the taxes. 99% of the time, the buyer pays the taxes. So every state is different, every situation is different. So whoever's going to be paying the taxes on this vehicle, they would be checking here. So it will be either the buyer is going to pay for those taxes or the seller. And like I said, most of the time it's the buyer. I've never seen the seller pay for taxes to sell a car to someone. And so here, this is where the signing would come into play. The buyer, the person that's purchasing the car, will sign, print their name, and put the day this transaction is taking place. The seller would sign here and print their name and go ahead and put a date there. You would come down further, and like I said, every state's different, so this might just be in Florida. It might not pertain to your state, but if it does, this disclosure right here basically is saying what the odometer is once again. So then it'll be the person who's the seller, name is going to go here. The odometer reading is going to go there. And this is saying whether, yes, that is the actual odometer reading or it's not the actual odometer reading. So this is saying either yes or no. So if they don't have the key or whatever the situation is, you would select what's appropriate. That way they would select what's appropriate there. And then they would sign and print with the date here. And then you would come down here to, this is the notarial part here. So this whole, the other two pages, the people that selling and purchasing the car is going to fill that part out. This is your part. You're going to put state of Florida, county of Hillsborough, the date, the year. Remember what I always say, when it says me, that means me, the notary. Your name will go there anytime you see me. If you see the word by, that's the person's name that you're doing the appointment for. So before me, the notary's name. And you see here, just in case you don't know, they tell you insert the name, the title of the officer. And then this is the person here, the seller. Their name would be printed there. And then you would go ahead and write the state where this is being done at. And the notary would sign, print, put the commission expiration. So it should have been in whatever the month and year, the month and day, and then put the year over here. But ultimately, you can do it just like this as long as you put it there. And then ultimately, you're going to go ahead and stamp. And this will be the entire document. It's not hard. You just have to kind of familiarize yourself with it. And there's more than one type of bill of sale. So don't think you're going to see this one and now you know every one. Sometimes they are done specifically. But as long as you know the gist of it, go over this one, familiarize yourself with this. So once you get to that appointment, you won't look like a deer caught in the headlights trying to figure it out. You will already kind of know what goes where, and you can go ahead and just instruct them, okay, put everything here. And if they don't know this information, tell them to pull out their registration, and all of that information is there. So you can look like the professional that you are. Alrighty, well, thank you so much for coming by my channel. And this is once again another document. Keep on the lookout for another one.